I'm Rebecca, and I'm 44 years old. I am a social worker, and I'm an associate professor at a state college in New York. And so let's see. So I started having pain when I was about 13 years old. And I was sort of your typical overachieving kid, pretty high pressure. It came all internally. I was just really focused on achievement, being a good kid, being smart, and doing well and making everyone happy, which I think is probably a pretty common beginning to the story. And I started having neck and shoulder pain when I was in 7th or 8th grade. And it was totally unexplained. A doctor said I had like maybe slight scoliosis, and maybe my bag was too heavy with all my textbooks in it. So I started going to physical therapy in 8th grade, and nothing really helped that much. I did exercises, I was very compliant, but that pain stayed with me for much of my life. It got worse like when I was in college and graduate school. I was in grad school for 8 years, hunched over books, at the computer, that kind of stuff. And got massages, went to PT, tried acupuncture, and that really just was kind of always in the background. It was never really like debilitating. I was able to function pretty well, but it was always there, and it was always a problem for me, and nothing really helped. So, and then about 2.5 years ago, when I was in my early 40s, I started to get low back pain. And I had like some sciatica before that, but I'd never had low back pain, and it was a very specific, different sensation. And then just let me back up a little bit. I also got tension headaches when I was in high school, and then those turned into migraines. And I had migraines on and off throughout my life. And in my 40s, they got worse, and we couldn't really. I went to doctors. I had MRIs, all the same kind of stuff. I went on some medication. And things helped somewhat, but the migraines were more debilitating than the pain. I would be laid up for sometimes a full day, and I have like most people, I have a job where people depend on me, and it was very depressing. It was really hard to disappoint people. It was really hard to not be able to do the things that I wanted to do because I had the headaches. And I was always trying to, what can I do differently? How can I avoid my triggers? And all through my pain journey, so to speak, there was always this sense of blame, self-blame. And, people are always giving you advice, like, don't do this, you don't drink enough water, you don't stretch enough. Then with the low back pain, it was like your abs aren't, you sit too much, or you have to strengthen your abs, your core. It was always something else that I should be doing or I was doing wrong. And of course, that made me feel terrible. It was the same with the headaches. It was like, what are you doing wrong? What do you need to do differently to get rid of this pain? And it was really depressing. So the back pain started getting worse over the last year, and I was going on a trip to Europe with my husband last May, and I was like, I can't sit on a plane for all those hours. So I went to a spine surgeon and, got an MRI, and he said, you have a herniated disc and it's pressing on, whatever nerve it was. And so I got a cortisone shot, and that seemed to help. And then I was put on a prescription anti-inflammatory. And I was on that for like 6 months or 8 months, and it just wasn't really, it was helping, but it seemed to be helping, but the pain wasn't going away. It was just not getting better. And in the fall of last year, I started to get really focused on the pain, like really almost obsessive about it. Like I remember telling a friend, like, I'm thinking about my pain or how to avoid it or how to make it go away. Like, 80% of my day is focused on this. And again, I wasn't debilitated. I was still able to go to work and do what I needed to do, but it was an exhausting kind of pain. It was like it was just always there. I was always focused on all the things that I should be doing to make it go away. So I went for another MRI in, sometime this winter, because I was just getting more and more desperate. And the doctor said, there's nothing wrong with you. There's no disc herniation there. I went to a different surgeon. He said, there's nothing wrong with you. He's like, I know that's not what you want to hear. You want something to be able to fix this. But he said, I can't do surgery, and I can't even do a cortisone shot because I wouldn't know where to put it. And I was shocked because I thought I was getting worse, because my pain was getting worse. It was going down both of my legs, both of my hips, my low back, and then from the top, here in my neck, the base of my neck, all the way down my right arm. So it was like became this widespread, like kind of pain syndrome, that I thought somehow, people said like maybe you're overcompensating for the back pain and that's why the rest of your body is hurting. And the doctor was like, I really don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So he recommended a different kind of PT, myofascial release, and acupuncture again. And I started it, and I was like, I am spending all my time trying to make this pain go away, and there's nothing wrong with me. And then a friend at work, I was trying not to complain very much. But one day a colleague just asked me how I was doing, and I was like, you know what? Everything hurts. My whole body hurts. And I just I'm so exhausted from it. And she told me about her brother who, had started going to, a TMS pain specialist. And she told me about TMS and, this John Sarno book that she had read. And I figured, why not give it a shot? So I read the book, and I was like, this sounds a lot like me, between the migraines and the body pain. I said, and there's nothing, physiologically wrong with me. Like, this must be me. So I went on some TMS, chat rooms or web forums and things like that. And the thing about John Sarno's work that didn't quite click for me, like it has this really psychoanalytic focus, which was never really something that I related to all that much as a therapist, as a professional, or even personally in my own therapy. I'd been in therapy like much of my adult life. And so the book's focus on rage, suppressed rage. And I just didn't feel like I had suppressed rage that much, but I figured there is something here. There's some psychological aspect to it that I'm not getting to. So on one of the web forums, that's where I learned about Curable, was on one of those websites. And it seemed to be designed for me, both as a chronic pain sufferer and also as an academic and as a therapist. Like, I just felt like, oh, all the missing pieces seem to be here. It had the neuroscience piece that really clicked with me and made a lot of sense. I tend to rely on the scientific explanations for things. And so that was all there. And so I paid the subscription and I started right away, and I really committed to it. I really believe it. And I believed it right from the beginning. I believed in it, and which I know is an important piece, just as it is with any treatment. And immediately I started addressing my pain catastrophizing and realizing how obsessed I was with my own pain and how frustrated I was and how much I was blaming myself for what was happening to me. And slowly, the pain did start to get better. I really started, and not just the physical pain, but immediately the psychological experience of the pain changed. I viewed it differently. I reframed it and was able to tell myself, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not in danger. You can carry the laundry down the stairs and nothing bad is going to happen to you. And it was really amazing. It really, just the being able to say you're okay even if you're in pain was something that nobody had ever said to me before. You go to PT and they're like, does it hurt here? Does it hurt there? What about when I do this? What about how far can you walk? How long can you do this? How long can you sit? And it's just this intense focus on the experience of the pain was, I realized, just really harming me. It was hurting me more than it was helping me. And so to not do that was a real taste of freedom, and to be able to focus on, just reframe it. And then within a couple of weeks, or maybe like 2 weeks, I found that I was able to control both my headaches and the back pain and the leg pain a little bit at a time. I would still get the pain, but I could manage it by doing the exercises in Curable. And within 4 weeks, I had my first pain-free day. And I noticed everything. I noticed, like, getting out of the shower, oh my God, that doesn't hurt. And going up the stairs, oh, my legs don't hurt. And walking the dogs, everything I did, it was like, and I started to realize I had this pain much longer than I had identified. I had aches and pains in my joints that I had just kind of chalked up to getting older. Even though I know I'm not that old, but I just thought, like, I don't know, I sit too much, I'm overweight, like, this is just what happens. And then to not have that pain was really almost kind of startling. So now it's been, I guess, about 8 weeks. So, I'm relatively new to it. I'm still doing it almost every day. And I have plenty of pain-free days. I still have some pain. Like this week was difficult because I was traveling for work. I was in the car for long periods of time, and just the traveling is stressful for me. So I did feel uncomfortable. But again, my experience of it was really different because I just felt like, okay, well, this is temporary, and, I'll do some meditations and do some writing exercises, and I'll be able to manage it. And I am able to manage it. So, and the other thing I want to say so it's been great. I've told a million people about it. I've told my clients about it. My father's a doctor, and a very traditional family doctor. And he, after trying to explain to him what it was I was doing, he said, oh, well, I guess your pain was muscular. Like, as if to say, like, oh, well, now you're nice and relaxed and your muscles relaxed and you have no pain anymore. And he doesn't really get that psychological piece, or the neuroscience piece, which is fine. But I do think it's important for people to know. And I went my whole career. I mostly work with children, so chronic pain is not that much of an issue. But I am I stay up to date on a lot of things in the field, and I just was not aware of this. Like I never made the connection. Maybe you think about stress and muscle tension and people having neck pain, like that's very common and well known. But I just didn't know what was happening in my brain, and I wish that I had, because it's really powerful. That I've been in therapy for a really long time, and for a therapist, I'm pretty guarded in terms of, I think I kind of manage the situation when I'm in therapy, and I don't give up too much control, but and so therefore, like, I think I haven't gotten to a lot of the deeper issues in therapy, but being alone and doing it myself through the meditations and the visualizations, it's been amazing.